suggested that you open an investigation of anyone?
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
Could you repeat that question?
I will repeat it.
Yeah.
Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone? Yes or no, please, sir?
The president or anybody else?
Seems you would remember something like that and be able to tell us.
Yeah, but I'm trying to grapple with the word suggest. I mean, there have been discussions of matters out there that they have not asked me to open an investigation. But
Perhaps they've suggested?
I don't know. I wouldn't say suggest.
Hinted?
I don't know.
Inferred? You don't know. Okay. In your March 24th summary, you wrote that, quote, after reviewing the special counsel's final report.
But I will say that no one.
Sir, I'm asking a question. In your March 24th summary, you wrote that, quote, after reviewing the special counsel's final report, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein and I have concluded that the evidence is not sufficient to establish that the president committed an obstruction of justice offense. Now, the special counsel's investigation produced a great deal of evidence. I'm led to believe it included witnesses' notes and emails, witnesses' congressional testimony, witnesses' interviews, which were summarized in the FBI 302 forms, former FBI director.
All right, so yeah, it pretty much just goes on and on like that. It'd be pretty cool, to be honest. Like, if she used that, like, if she spent her time on, like, prosecuting, like, big, powerful people instead of, like, truant parents and truant kids, parents of truant kids, like, and being a tough on crime prosecutor, like, that would be pretty cool if she was like that, but she wasn't, since why I don't support her for president. But also, yeah, she has kind of fake support of all these policies, but she definitely did a great job of talking and really, like, kind of like sussing out William Barr, sending this kind of message. I think it'd be definitely very interesting, the stuff that she is going after there, because, like, you gotta believe this issue with William Barr here, it's going to be a thing for the future. If there's any kind of other Trump investigations from the ones that were off-spun from Mueller to other sources, if any of that stuff comes out, and if there's any kind of fraudulent investigations launched, like, the president, like, should be investigated for it. It doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't have to be like a major news story every day, but, like, that doesn't mean the president should kind of face some sort of responsibility for it. That's for sure. Yeah, Harris's letter, this is the second this week sent to the department's Inspector General by Democrats. Several senators, led by Senate Judiciary Committee member Mazie Hirono of Hawaii, sent an earlier letter urging the Inspector General to investigate whether Barr misled the public on when he issued his now notorious 4-page summary, quote-unquote, of the Mueller report that Mueller had written his own letter to Barr, complaining that the Attorney General's summary failed to reflect the context, nature, and substance of Mueller's report. The senator has also asked, as well the other senators who did it with Hirono and Harris, she asked the Inspector General to review whether Barr should have recused himself from overseeing the Mueller probe, given that he'd written an unsolicited 19-page memo last year before becoming Attorney General, arguing the investigation into whether Trump's obstruction of justice was flawed. So he already doesn't agree with it. That's why he was hired. That's why he was confirmed by the Senate. And, yeah, that's kind of how it works. Here she is talking more about this on CNN, about this Barr questioning.
Well, President Trump also has zeroed in on you a couple of times, particularly after yesterday. And he used another insulting word. Let me play this for you and everyone. Okay.
He performed incredibly well today. Mm-hmm. And for the country, he performed well.
Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm.
Well, she was probably very nasty. You have three of them running against me, and they're up there ranting and raving, like lunatics, frankly. And they're running, and how is that fair? So you have Bill Barr, highly respected, great attorney general, and he's got to take the abuse from people that are running for office. They don't care about this. They're just looking for political points.
Okay, that was on Fox Business. That was the second time he's used the word nasty about you. What's that about?
God only knows. Listen, let me be very.
Like, honestly, that was kind of a dumb question. Like, that was such a like nasty. Like, he said that to. I don't know if they're making like some sort of a gender point there, But yeah, that was kind of the right response. God only knows
Very
with
clear
Trump.
about how I think about what is important and what is before us. We have a president of the United States whose primary interest, I think, that has been clear as a result of what we know from the Mueller report. His primary interest has been to obstruct justice. My primary interest is to pursue justice. And you can call that whatever name you want, but I think that's what the American people want in a leader.
All right, so that's a good response there from her. And yeah, I mean, she's going to be tough on Trump, and really all of them are going to be tough on Trump. The question is, like, how do they distinguish themselves besides that? All right, we continue with the non-2020 side of our show. Actually, we did one 2020 story in there. Sorry about that. All right, but it's a quick one. We promise. All right, we're talking more news. Let's just say that when we get back. Coming this week on the Spencer Walsh Radio Network, a new episode of The List this Wednesday with Hassan Alexander. New episodes of Newsflash Monday and Thursday, as well as The Wake Up, continuing all through this week. All right, a lot of fun stuff going on with the Spencer Walsh Radio Network, so stay tuned. We're also going to make a major change to our programming coming up this summer. We're considering it. We're going to keep that under wraps for now, though. So very exciting stuff coming your way. All right, yeah, very, very fun stuff. Yeah, but we're talking Game of Thrones. Very excited to talk about Game of Thrones Wednesday with Hudson. Hudson Alexander making his return to Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Got him into Game of Thrones, of course, spreading this like a contagion, spreading all around. All right, yeah, so when John Kelly, talking about John Kelly now, yes, remember him? He served as Secretary of Homeland Security, then as White House Chief of Staff. He helped implement one of the most president's most abusive policies on immigration, which stripped migrant children from their parents and sent them to be warehoused in shelters. Months after leaving the administration, Kelly is now cashing in on these policies by joining the board of directors of a private company that runs the country's largest facility for unaccompanied migrant children, according to CBS News. There are levels of despicableness in the revolving door in Washington, D.C. politics, but Kelly's move is about as low as they can go. So the supposed adult in the room. And again, it's a real kind of question about whether you want an adult room, because the adults in the room, like, I mean, in terms of competence, I mean, I guess you could say he was a little bit above the rest, but like, the adult in the room is often the more evil person. Like, that's the thing you gotta look at. Like, in terms of evil, as in way more effective and way more problematic. And that is that's the real problem. And that is what we really see over and over and over again. So that's the pretty much reality of the situation. Months after leaving the administration, he's cashing on this now. CBS reported that Kelly joined the board of Caliburn International, the parent company of Comprehensive Health Services, which operates the shelter in Homestead, Florida, and 3 other for unaccompanied migrant children in Texas. It's located in Homestead. One is located right next to an Air Reserve base and guarded by private security contractors. Has 3,200 beds operated by a staff of 2,300 people. So during Kelly's tenure, the administration pursued ambitious changes to immigration enforcement, and the average length of stay for an unaccompanied migrant child in the U.S. custody skyrocketed in the past year. Comprehensive Health Services, the only private company in operating shelters, became one of the most dominant players in the industry. Last August, we secured licenses for 3 facilities in Texas, totaling 500 beds. So yeah, again, the point is this is just awful stuff. And John Kelly, I mean, it's an important thing to know, just to know about these people who are supposedly, again, the adults in the room and how much of a joke that is. It's very telling, and I think it's, again, something that we all need to understand about American politics. All right, this is a funny story. You got Project Veritas over here. So the Intercept published an exhaustively researched deep dive into Blackwater's founder Eric Prince's improbable comeback. So the full piece is a fascinating look, by the way. Check it out at a sociopathic wannabe warlord's attempts to forge deals with major powers and profit off some of the most damaging conflicts around the globe, but also includes an extremely good anecdote related to Project Veritas, the right-wing entrapment factory that has attempted to take down politicians and news organizations through a series of strange combination of harebrained or outright fraudulent schemes. For example, back when the Roy Moore thing was going on, they sent some kind of woman to it's a conservative organization, probably like dark money funded, all that stuff. And they sent this woman to go out to the Washington Post, and I actually think I did a YouTube video on this to get some context about who Project Veritas is. All right, we take a look at my YouTube career as of last year and how cringy I was. Let's see this for some context here.
I just want to say that the Washington Post is not in any kind of real trouble. I just want to say that. I want to clear the air because the way I titled this video, you may have thought that. But they're not in any kind of trouble, which is a good thing for the Washington Post. But here's how this happened. James O'Keefe, he is a kind of conservative activist, but he really does pretty politically dirty tricks that are just not fun for anyone except for himself. He does tricks against the mainstream CNN, MSNBC, so-called liberal media. They're actually, I could get into why they're completely and totally right-wing. And
so great even back then.
By intimidation, but that's another video. I'm getting totally caught up in myself here. But James O'Keefe, he likes to doctor videotapes, do sting operations, show that they are show that the media is liberal, they have a bias towards Republicans, etc., etc. And his sting operation against the Washington Post regarding Roy Moore completely backfired on itself. Here's what happened. So there was this Washington Post reporter who happened to be named Stephanie McCrudden. She was right there on the left side of this picture that you're seeing come up right next to me here. Wondering who the woman.
This is pretty much a meeting between two women. Just to give context, it's a meeting of two women in a bar, and this happened.
Just around there on the right side of your screen is, she happens to be named Jamie Phillips, and she's supposedly a random, just completely out of nowhere, Alabama lady who happened to contact this Washington Post reporter with a story that, Roy Moore, the Alabama Senate candidate, as you know, accused of sexual harassment, just pretty much impregnated her, and she had to get an abortion when she was 15 back in the 1990s. That story was completely false. So this picture was shot at a Project Veritas, which is James O'Keefe's dirty organization where they try to do, again, political dirty tricks on the mainstream media. That organization was filming this, supposedly to release it once they fall for the false trap set by, Project Veritas. They were definitely going to release this out there in the air and say, look what the Washington Post did. But it turns out the Washington Post was fact-checking this, and in that time they saw Jamie Phillips, the woman on the right here, walk into Project Veritas to supposedly have a meeting with them. They did some digging and found that she was an undercover plant set up there by James O'Keefe and his people to go tell the Washington Post reporter that Roy Moore had impregnated her. Just make it up out of thin air. Thin air. That's when this story came out of. It was completely false and just really, really in bad taste.
Yeah, so it's kind of an idea of what they do over there at Project Veritas. They're not a good organization, folks. They're just not. Yeah, so this organization, Project Veritas, we know about them, but Prince is a man who has accumulated, Eric Prince, he's a large amount of power and money, mostly by running evil companies into the ground and starting a new evil company. He's not exactly a genius either. He tried to skirt international arms regulations while running a private military company for the UAE. Prince's American colleagues at Reflex, was one of the companies where he ran, he argued to his lawyers that because Reflex was an Emirati company working on an Emirati government contract, he was not required to have an ITAR license, which is a license that you have to sell international arms. He said, no, that's not how it works. You're an American. But one of Prince's former colleagues involved in Reflex Responses said, "It was stupid, honestly. There was a way to do it legally and make lots of money, but Eric didn't care. When Eric wakes up in the morning, Eric does whatever he wants. I always assume that's how it is when your father is a billionaire." By the way, fun fact,